when faith turns into pressure, when love becomes a contract, and when grief may be staged for television. What's left of the dream? Tonight, we dive into the emotional bankruptcy of the Brown dream and the controversy that followed Garrison's tragic passing. Stay with us, because the biggest betrayal wasn't financial. It was emotional and possibly televised. For decades, immigrant families held on to one vision, the Brown dream. A better life stitched together by faith, love, and money. But behind the facade was a cost no one talked about. I thought love would protect me. I thought faith would carry us. But money destroyed everything. And soon, television would take those same sacrifices and turn them into spectacle.
I'm just sitting there, stunned, sort of shaking my head, and trying to console my kids.
Part
Gwendolyn just
1.
called me and said,
What happens when faith turns into pressure, when love becomes a contract, and when money meant to build dreams becomes the weapon that destroys them? This is the story of the Brown dream and its emotional bankruptcy. Stay with us, because the biggest betrayal comes not from strangers, but from the people closest to you. For decades, immigrant families carried one vision, a better life in America. They worked harder, loved deeper, and believed stronger than anyone else. But behind closed doors, a different story was unfolding, a story where success had a price. We thought faith would save us. We thought money would fix everything. We thought love would hold us together. Churches and temples became more than just places of worship. They became economic centers, where donations meant status, and status meant power. Women were often told to sacrifice, to endure, to forgive, no matter what happened at home. But when faith silences pain, love begins to rot from the inside out. Many women believed love would protect them. Instead, love became a transaction measured in dowries, mortgages, or remittances sent overseas. Cut to dramatization: a woman staring at her wedding jewelry, then a foreclosure notice. He said if I loved him, I'd sign the loan. If I loved him, I'd keep quiet. If I loved him, I'd never leave. But money was about to rewrite every promise made at the altar. When the 2008 financial crisis hit, immigrant households were hit twice as hard. Savings collapsed, jobs vanished, and the pressure to send money back home didn't stop. Families began tearing apart. And this is where emotional bankruptcy began, long before the financial one. For women, the struggle wasn't just financial. It was emotional labor, holding families together while being quietly crushed inside. Reenactments: a mother juggling 3 jobs, cooking at midnight, praying silently. No one asked me what I wanted. They only asked what I could sacrifice. But when sacrifice becomes survival, resentment begins to grow. Marriages began to collapse. Sons and daughters saw their mothers break down. The faith institutions that promised salvation offered little more than judgment. The Brown dream was breaking, but the final blow was still to come. For many women, the betrayal didn't come from Wall Street or even from strangers. It came from their own families, the people they trusted most. He drained our savings. He put everything in his name. And when it was gone, so was he. And here's the part that will leave you speechless. The real bankruptcy wasn't financial at all. It was emotional. Women across America woke up to realize the Brown dream had been built on their silence, their sacrifice, their unpaid labor. The real dream wasn't his. It was hers, waiting to be rebuilt. Some rebuilt their lives. Others never recovered. Communities split. Families stopped speaking. And when the truth came out, so did the backlash. Stop blaming the men. You knew what you signed up for. This is anti-faith propaganda. Finally, someone said it. This was our story too. The internet had chosen sides, and the war wasn't over. The brown dream was supposed to be about success. But what it revealed was something darker, how faith, love, and money can chain women in silence. Yet, when exposed, it gave birth to something new, a movement of women saying enough. Emotional bankruptcy is not the end. It's the beginning of taking back power. If you've ever felt trapped by faith, love, or money, know this: your dream doesn't have to be borrowed. It can be built. Part 2. When tragedy struck, fans mourned. But what came after left them questioning everything. Was the show honoring Garrison or rewriting history? Stay with us, because what fans uncovered might change the way you see reality TV forever. Garrison's passing shook fans across America. For many, he wasn't just a TV figure, he was family. But in the days after, something strange surfaced. We cried with them. But something felt off. Too polished. Too perfect. The memorial episode aired weeks later. Yet sharp-eyed fans noticed discrepancies: camera angles too smooth, lighting too perfect, reactions too rehearsed. Were we watching grief or performance? Reddit threads exploded. TikToks went viral. Fans began asking, was the scene authentic or secretly staged after the fact? Look closely, the shadows don't match. This wasn't one take. Another, why does the coffee cup change between shots? And this was just the beginning of a storm no one expected. Reality TV thrives on the illusion of authenticity. But behind every tear, there's an edit. Behind every hug, a producer's hand. We were told to get the shot, no matter what it took. So was grief reshaped to fit a storyline? From wardrobe changes to set inconsistencies, fans built a case. They believed parts of the tribute were not live, but reshot days later, maybe weeks. It's not conspiracy. It's right there on the screen. But the biggest clue wasn't visual. It was hidden in the audio. On a fan forum, an alleged audio leak appeared, a behind-the-scenes recording of the cast being coached to cry on cue. The network never confirmed it. But fans swore it was real. If true, it would be the darkest chapter in reality TV history. When pressed, the network denied reshoots. Family members stayed silent, fueling speculation even further. But silence can be louder than denial. A whistleblower emerged, a former production assistant, claiming yes, reshoots happened. Not once, but multiple times. They said, the first take didn't capture enough emotion. We had to do it again. And again. Fans thought they were watching grief. They were watching direction. The reveal split the fandom in half. Some felt betrayed. Others defended the family, insisting grief has no rules. This is sick. Exploiting tragedy. They did what they had to, don't blame them. Reality TV has never been real. Why are we surprised? But when grief becomes content, who really profits? This controversy is bigger than one family. It's about trust in television itself. If even tragedy is staged, where does reality end and entertainment begin? The lines have blurred, and fans may never look at reality the same way again. Was it secret recording or a staged scene? Maybe both. But one truth remains: fans felt deceived. And once trust is broken, it's almost impossible to win back. On screen, truth or performance? You decide. Let's deep dive in full details. Part 3. Then came Garrison. A son, a brother, a reality TV figure many Americans felt they grew up with. His laughter felt genuine. His struggles, relatable. But when he died, everything changed. We mourned with them. But the memorial episode felt too perfect. Too clean. And fans began asking, was this grief or production? The family was shattered. Cameras rolled. Tears fell. But sharp-eyed fans noticed details: a coffee cup that changed hands mid-shot, lighting that shifted between scenes, and suspiciously smooth edits. Look closely. This wasn't one take. If true, this wasn't just grief. It was emotional bankruptcy, broadcast nationwide. The Brown Dreams Foundation rested on faith. Churches became centers of influence where women were told to sacrifice endlessly. On TV, that faith became a character, one used to silence doubt and frame suffering as destiny. But silence has consequences, and television knows how to monetize them. In reality, love became currency. In marriage contracts. In loans co-signed. In promises broken. Women carried the financial and emotional weight, even as cameras painted happy family portraits. He said, if I loved him, I'd sign. If I loved him, I'd keep quiet. And when tragedy struck, those same dynamics resurfaced, this time on screen. Fans built a case. Wardrobe changes. Editing inconsistencies. And then, an alleged leaked audio file, where cast members were reportedly directed to cry harder for retakes. The network denied it. The family stayed silent. But for fans, silence was the loudest answer. And that silence split the fandom in two. Half the audience felt betrayed. The other half defended the family, arguing grief has no script. Social media became a battlefield. This was exploitation. They're grieving, leave them alone. Nothing on reality TV is real anymore. But when grief becomes content, who's really profiting? A whistleblower, a former production assistant, stepped forward. Yes, reshoots happened. Multiple times. Because the first takes didn't capture enough emotion. It wasn't about honoring him. It was about getting ratings. For fans, this wasn't just a TV scandal. It was the death of trust itself. The emotional bankruptcy that began with the Brown Dream had reached its climax. Not just in families crushed by silence, faith, and financial pressure, but in a fandom forced to question whether grief was authentic or directed. The Brown Dream wasn't just broken. It was broadcast. And the backlash was bigger than the show itself. What does it mean when reality TV edits grief? When women's sacrifices are turned into plot lines? When family tragedy becomes advertiser content? It means entertainment has consumed even our most private heartbreaks. And for many, that was the final betrayal. The Brown Dream promised hope. But it left emotional bankruptcy. Garrison's death promised truth. But it left stage grief. Maybe the real story isn't about faith, love, or money. Maybe it's about reclaiming what's real before television rewrites it. This isn't the first time reality TV has faced questions of authenticity. From Keeping Up with the Kardashians to 90 Day Fiancé, fans have spotted inconsistencies, retakes, and scenes that seem too polished to be real. The difference? This time, grief itself may have been rewritten. If it happened there, why couldn't it happen here? Reality TV participants often sign contracts that allow producers to edit, reshoot, and even stage scenes. Legally, most networks classify reality programming as entertainment, not journalism. That means the emotional truth can be bent as long as it delivers ratings. Legally, they're covered. Ethically, it's a minefield. So, is it deception or just television as usual? Online fans became detectives. Reddit threads stretched into hundreds of comments. Facebook groups analyzed every frame. YouTube reaction videos broke down lighting, angles, even background noises. The cup changes between cuts. That's a reshoot. This is disrespectful. Let them grieve in peace. Nothing on reality TV is real anymore. But the question wasn't just about one family. It was about every fan who felt betrayed. Before the tragedy, Garrison wasn't just another cast member. He represented resilience, youth, and the hope of the next generation. Fans saw their own sons and brothers in him. And for many women, his smile felt like proof that sacrifice had been worth it. Garrison laughing, helping siblings, family dinners. That's why, when his death was framed for television, it felt like a second loss. Even today, years later, fan forums still debate what really happened. Some refuse to rewatch the episode. Others use it as proof that networks can't be trusted. Meanwhile, therapists and cultural critics warn, when grief is staged, it teaches audiences to question their own pain. If viewers can't trust what they see in grief, how can they trust anything on screen? And that doubt may change reality television forever. If you were in that mother's place, would you stay silent or speak out? Comment: do you think the grief was authentic or edited for TV? Hit like if you believe women's voices should be heard beyond scripted roles. Subscribe for part 2, where we uncover how reality TV edits more than grief. Share this video because silence protects the system.